Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's continuing on down. We're in another red week. Still nothing too drastic, really. I mean, Bitcoin is down 27% from the top. It's sort of been a little bit lower on the August 5th Japanese sort of fiasco, which it does seem is possibly not over. But yeah, we sort of, get everyone saying, remember past cycles, the 2017 cycle, we had sort of five 30% plus drawdowns in, a year, 18 months time. And yeah, to be getting a sort of 25 to 30% drawdown isn't the end of the world if things are sort of still looking up, which I think we still have a lot to look forward to. So yeah, it's red, but that's just the way the market goes. Looking at the coin shares report, this is negative. We said last week this was going to be negative, and tomorrow's report is going to be negative as well, with some fairly significant outflows on the ETFs. We saw 305 million on last week's report, or Monday just gone's report. This was largely Bitcoin, 319 million out of Bitcoin, 5.7 out of Ethereum, so that does seem to have died down somewhat. The multi-asset still seeing inflows, 6.4 million, so people, still quite happy to be putting into a diversified basket. Solana saw 7.6 million of inflows, but that had a sort of fairly big outflow previously. And then some small stuff, Binance, Litecoin inflows, shorting Bitcoin, Cardano, and then not much other. Other has been sort of seeing some reasonable inflows recently. Just looking at the country breakdown, so this is largely US. We actually sort of still have some reasonable inflows. Brazil, as always, Australia, Canada, and Hong Kong and Switzerland, all still with inflows, and just a couple of small Germany and Sweden outflows. So this is largely a US-driven sell-off. And looking at the more recent US stuff, so we've seen continued outflows, pretty much non-stop, sort of to varying degrees. Monday was bank holiday in the US, but we then saw 287 million in outflows, then fairly small day, 37, and then another 211 and 170 on Friday. So quite a fair bit of outflows. CoinShares report presumably will be, 6, 7, 800 maybe of outflow. Nothing at all from BlackRock for a full week. No inflows or outflows. People really do not sell the BlackRock one, or unless people are selling it and they've got new entrants buying, and it just results in zero volume. But yeah, it's all the others. It's Fidelity for the most part. They've seen sort of 162 and 150 million outflows. They're sort of still head and shoulders above the rest in second place, but yeah, you've got some sort of other outflows as well, Bitwise and Arc. And Grayscale sort of had dropped down to sort of some low numbers, even some single figure outflow days, and they've sort of come back up again to sort of 50, 30, 50 million again. And even outflow out of the newest, the brand new low fee one. So this is the lowest fee fund on the market now, the new Grayscale one, and that saw outflows as well. So and there's only 330 million in that. And coming over to Ethereum, you can almost hear the tumbleweed flying around, to be honest. Got outflow out of Grayscale, sort of continuing. It had been in single figures for pretty much a full week. And yeah, it's sort of back to 52 millions, 40 millions, and then sort of a couple of smaller ones this week. And you look at sort of the new boys, it's almost nothing. Admittedly, they're not losing what they've got. I suppose you could see that as a positive. Not seeing outflows. You had a small inflow into Fidelity on one day and a small inflow into BlackRock, but they're largely just sort of staying as they are. Again, this could be sort of existing holders selling to new holders. It doesn't mean that everyone's just holding as it's reported. People are sort of saying zero inflows or zero outflows mean no one is selling. I don't think that's necessarily the case. It'd be worth sort of checking the volume, but yeah, I don't sort of dig into them quite that much because there's lots of reasons people buy and sell this sort of basis trade, arbitrage, and all sorts. So similarly, I don't treat the outflows as sort of the death of the market. But there you go. So we had another Masari report. This is sort of pretty much the last one I would be focusing on for Q2. XRP. I sort of kind of missed the opportunity to take a bit of profit on XRP and maybe invest that into the option side. It sort of dropped down quite a bit with the rest of the market. And yeah, looking at the report, there's nothing really to sort of get particularly excited about there. Market cap obviously is down, price is down with the rest of the market, but revenue is also down, so fees sort of not really helping them. Daily active addresses down 30%, daily transactions down 67%, although it's sort of that is from a spike up in Q1. It sort of is lower than Q2 and Q3 last year, but not too much. New addresses 96,000, where that was sort of increasing to a reasonable point. And yeah, the other sort of volume metrics, NFT transactions completely plummeted. That was sort of 20,000, sort of spiked up a little bit and then come back, and now yeah, it's a third of what it was. So just looking at their breakdown of transactions, I don't really sort of look into all of these use cases sort of particularly in depth because it's not a sort of core holding for me. But yeah, you've got sort of various types of transactions, and they are pretty much all down to varying degrees, 60, 70, 30%. So it's not like it's a one-off or an anomaly or anything causing that drop in transactions. It is just sort of down. It's below last year's levels, and while sort of you would hope the market is growing, albeit it might have sort of had a bit of a rough quarter. We've seen Solana's sort of some of their metrics on the downside this quarter, but still sort of for the most part above this time last year at least, where XRP now has gone below last year. Their NFT side I never really sort of got on board with. I mean, to be fair, NFTs on every chain do look pretty poor in Q2. Cardano's was awful, Solana's is awful, and Ethereum looks fairly awful, but XRP's is sort of particularly awful. Total NFT transactions down 67%, similar to other transactions. Token minting down 87%, burning similar, and daily NFT traders is down for the fourth consecutive quarter. Down 0.9 or 900 transactions, not even 1,000 transactions, down to 800, 700, 600, and now 400. So not good at all. It was never really a NFT sort of type chain. I thought it seemed sort of jumping on the bandwagon somewhat to get NFTs in. So yeah, I don't really go through the sort of all of this. Its sort of summary is basically everything's down. Q2 was fairly rough. But I don't really think of it similar to other sort of, I don't think of it as a competitor to Solana and Ethereum. I've always sort of seen it as a banker's coin. They want to sort of get involved with the big like US banks, if not other banks around the world, and sort of get involved in central bank digital currencies, and it'll be seen as a bit of an evil coin. But yeah, doesn't seem to be happening at the moment. They've come through there. It's been a year since they sort of settled / won their lawsuit, and they sort of finally, what was it, a couple of months ago, agreed to their $125 million fine, which is sort of a drop in the bucket compared to how much they sell every year, every quarter. And yeah, I just sort of don't see a lot of activity. They sort of implied that there was, a raft of people waiting on the sidelines, waiting on this court case decision, and yeah, nothing seems to have come of it just yet. But yeah, certainly still on the sell pile, XRP. As far as altcoins in general go, I think it's worth remembering we've got some fairly bullish things coming up. Conferences, we had Bitcoin Nashville with Donald Trump attending, and we've sort of got the equivalent for altcoins for people who sort of realise that there's a world outside the US. We've got Token 2049 coming up in 18th and 19th of September in Singapore. Asia sort of heavily into crypto and sort of put a lot less focus on like Fed interest rate decisions and that sort of thing. You'll notice it's actually, I believe, the same day of the next FOMC meeting. So at the same time as sort of rate cuts affecting the whole world, you've got 20,000 plus people talking about altcoins. So yeah, that was I thought interesting. And then pretty much just down the road, it seems from Token 2049, the 2 days afterwards, you can go to Solana Breakpoint. So a lot of people saying there's sort of some big announcements expected, whether they do it at Breakpoint or sort of in advance of Breakpoint, and then you can sort of talk about it while people are there. We don't know yet, but yeah, whether people sort of do a 4 day, double bill of Token 2049 and then Breakpoint, I don't know, but I'm sure they're sort of having it right next to it pretty much and the day after for a reason. So yeah, I do think that's a potentially sort of bullish catalyst, some big announcements potentially. Solana's Fire Dancer new client, supposed to be sort of the end of shutdowns and restarts to the chain, because they'll have two different clients. They can switch between the two and sort of shut down one for maintenance temporarily while the other sort of keeps the network running. So, and it has a huge potential increase in transactions per second. Maybe finally enable stocks and sort of stock exchanges and various other things that need very high TPS to launch, but it's not going to be anytime soon. It's you could start to see developments next year, I would have thought, after that's released. And the Bitcoin hash rate, one of the sort of many things that hits my bullishness potentially on the Bitcoin miners. It's obviously an enormous part of my portfolio now. And yeah, sort of compared to like something like gold miners, if you're in sort of Paraguay, as a lot of people are going to now, or if you're in Canada, say, somebody spinning up a load of new mining sites in America doesn't increase your costs, where in Bitcoin that does. New people are sort of adding hash rate, existing people are greatly expanding. So you take someone like Hive, they're sort of sitting at 5 exahash. Other people bringing 20 exahash of new miners online decreases the amount of Bitcoin they get. So yeah, and people still, they are back on the expansion trend. It seems we're above the halving all-time high on this is the 30-day average, admittedly, but it does seem to be a sort of better smoothed out version. You can look at the 7-day, and that is at sort of looks like all-time highs, just sort of taking out previous peaks. You look at the 1 day and it's just sort of complete noise, but you can see an ever so slight uptrend. Looking on the sort of longer term, you can see all of 2023 pretty much was just one great big long uptrend. Even the sort of the longer term now is uptrends with a few sort of dip periods. So yeah, I question how secure this is making the network. Everyone just sort of says it's making the network more secure. I sort of think the network could operate quite easily with half this hash rate. The difficulty would just half, and blocks still get produced. I'm not sure what you're sort of securing it against. You're making a 51% attack a lot more expensive, but there's still, routes that people could take. They could go after pools and sort of attack the network that way. All I see is sort of this Tom and Jerry arms race of, one side sort of expands, so you expand, and you're just making mining less profitable for both of you, where this sort of thing doesn't happen in gold mining. So yeah, I'm sort of obviously pushing more money into it, but assuming things do happen next year as I'm expected to, I would be sort of excited to probably get out of Bitcoin miners and probably not get back into them in the future. And that spike in mining is looking like it's going to cause another increase in the difficulty, as expected. Sort of resets every 2 weeks. It's been sort of up and down, and you have the sort of estimate here for this coming Tuesday is 4.5% up. This was 3% up a couple of days ago, and sort of more miners are pushing down block times, so they have to push the difficulty up. So this is going to be, it looks like 93, where the sort of pre-halving was sort of 86, and it got up to 88, sort of lagging, while people were mining everything they could up to the halving. But yeah, 88, we're currently sort of at 89, but it's going to 93.5. So again, just making mining a little bit less profitable. So looking at coins for the week, it's not actually a complete red wall, surprisingly. There is one. You can try and guess. Bitcoin is down 7% though, so that has been sort of the bulk of the loss. Solana not doing quite as bad, 2.6% down. Ethereum 8% down, so not too good. Chainlink 5.6% down. XRP 5.5%. So as I say, I was kind of hoping that might hold up a little bit better, and I could maybe swap that for some options, but I didn't end up selling Rio Tinto to sort of hopefully fund some future purchases. Audius is down 4%. Power Ledger is down 3.5%. And then Quant, not really seen any news at all about this, but that is up 9%. So I guess something must have happened in a week like this for that to be up. Not really sort of on the sell pile. It's only a sort of very, very small position. It's down 50% for me, but I don't let that sort of affect anything as much. But yeah, they are still sort of supposedly working with the UK government and one or two other governments on sort of CBDC projects, and for the sake of that small holding, I kind of think just hold on to it because something could come of it, I guess. Internet Computer down 1.4%, Gala down 0.3%, so some of them are sort of not doing too bad. Polygon down 9.3%, Basic Attention Token down 2.5%, and VeChain down 4.7%. So bit of a mixed bag. Some one positive and some sort of not down quite so bad. Bitcoin being one of the underperformers, surprisingly, which it isn't normally. So yeah, interesting. We'll have to sort of see where things go. Still got potentially a bit more bearishness, and we've got the FOMC meeting, which could be a drop depending on what they do. But I still think sort of going forward to end of the year and 2025 should be positive. And obviously, if we get the fabled Trump presidency, then you can probably just expect everything to rocket up. So I have to keep an eye on it. So leave your thoughts in comments below, and like and subscribe. See you soon.